What's up guys, brianumoh, and I'm back again with another awesome video. It's been a while guys. I know I've not been making video for a very long time, but I'm back now. I really want to appreciate you guys for sticking around. A big welcome to all the new subscribers. We are almost at 5k by the time I'm recording this video, and for the people that have been here from the beginning, thank you very much. So in today's video, I'm going to show you guys how to clean backgrounds that are kind of complex a bit. There are some stuff to fix here, and since the most viewed video on my channel currently is the fastest way to clean up background video, I decided to make this video as an update to that video, because in this video I'm going to fix some issues that came up with using that previous method. So that video is almost 2 years old, and since then I've advanced and discovered some issues and fixed them. So in this video I'm going to fix about 2 of those issues, which are losing your shadow when you blur the picture, and also having banding issues when you blur the background. So in this video I'm going to show you how to extract the shadow and keep it exactly how it was before, and also how to get rid of banding if any comes up when you are using this method. So without further ado, let's begin. Hey guys, welcome to Photoshop. This is the image we'll be using, and as you can see, there are a few things we will have to remove here. We have let me just highlight it. We have this to remove. We have this also to remove. We have this stand. We have the reflector down here, and then this board, we have to remove it to get it to look as good as possible, which is what I am planning to do in this particular video. So without talking too much, the first thing to do is to duplicate your background layer. I always advise you guys to duplicate your background layer when you want to edit. I do that all the time. So Command J to duplicate your background layer, and we are going to use a few tools, just a few simple tools to fix this. Photoshop makes life very easy by introducing tools that will automatically fix some things for us. So we are going to use about 2 of those tools here. So the first thing I'm going to do is to use the lasso tool with the keyboard shortcut L. I'm going to make selection of this entire portion of the image, as this top portion. Then I'm going to use the content away fill to fix that. So to use the content away fill, while on the image, just right click on your mouse and choose fill. Under the fill, just choose content away, click on color adaptation, make sure it's ticked, and click on OK. Alright, Photoshop did a very decent job there. As you can see, it fixed that entire background. I'm also going to select this, and oops, I messed up there, and also select this. Then I'll click on this add button on top here to add to the selection, and click on this also. So I'm not going to use a completely automated tool for this one. I'm going to use a patch tool with the shortcut key of J. So I'll just click on it, make selection where I want to patch, and just take it to somewhere cleaner, and that place will be fixed. So right now we have this portion of the image to contend with. So I'll make a selection of this portion. He was sitting on the board since the background was really dirty. So I'm going to make a selection of that. Another thing I'm trying to do is to make sure I maintain these shadows. There's a reflection on the board. I want to maintain that reflection as I'm cleaning up this image. So I'll just make a selection of this portion, and then I'm going to do my content away fill trick again to see if it will fix that for me. If it doesn't, then we'll have to do it manually, but let's just give it a try. So when you come across things like this, first try the AI tools, the tools that are automated. They do a decent job most of the time, and if they work well, you use it. If it doesn't work well, then you do it manually. And as you can see here, it did a very nice job. it has fixed that entire portion for us, but there's an issue here. So I'll zoom in. As you can see, that place doesn't look so good. So I'll use my patch tool again. Just select here, then move it to this other side so that it's clean. I'll deselect and zoom out, and as you can see, we fixed that portion. So let me see if I can also fix this portion with content away tool. As you can see, you can just use simple tools to fix things that look complex, and that's what I'm trying to show you. I know a lot of us dread background cleanup, especially when you are new to Photoshop and you don't really know anything about Photoshop. You just get overwhelmed with this background, but just simple tricks like this and simple things like this can help you fix a big mess. So far so good. We've done an incredible job. So I'll just select this also, then move it up, and boom, we have a very clean and decent backdrop, but we are nowhere close to where we are supposed to be, right? So let me just show you the progress so far. This is before. Okay, this is before, this is after. We've cleaned up all the extras. So what we'll focus on now is to clean up the background itself, and then we are going to extract the shadow, fix the banding and all that. So the next thing, if you watched my previous video, which I'll link in the description section, the next thing to do is to select the subject. Get a very good selection of the subject so that you can just extract him out of the background and play around with the background as much as you like. So I'm going to use the quick selection tool, and I'm going to choose a select background or select subject, and wait for it to do its job. Okay, as you can see, it's done a very, very good job. Let me zoom in so that we can see what it has done. After you use a tool like this, always make sure you zoom in to be sure it did a decent job. That way you can fix the small issues, the places it missed and all that. So I'm going to just add this portion to the selection because it didn't select it originally. I'm going to add that portion. I'm going to subtract this other side. In order not to take too much of your time, I'm just going to do this really fast, and then I'll return when I'm done making the selection or adjusting the selection, because the selection has already been made. Okay guys, I think I have a very decent selection here. One thing I would advise you, or one thing that this method is heavily dependent on, is having a very good selection of your subject, so that you don't have like fringing or whatever at the edge. You don't want your edge to look weird after you've blurred the picture. So just make sure you have a very good selection, and that's what I've done here. I've made a very good selection. After making your selection, just make sure you zoom in to get everything right. So now that we have our selection, let me show you something that you might not have known. A very quick way to save your selection, so you can always come back to it at any time. Just go to Windows and click on Path, and make sure you have the path window open. Just click on this button here, create new path. So if you click on it, it will convert your selection to a path. Rename it. I'll call it subject. Always rename it. If you don't rename it, it will just erase. So I have my path, like my selection, saved as a path. If I want to change it to a selection again, I just come to this thumbnail and click on Command on my keyboard and click on the thumbnail, and I have my selection there. I can just close it, and at any point in my editing later on, if I want to use that selection, just come to path here, command and click on the thumbnail, and my selection is back up again. So if you watched the previous video, you must have known the next thing to do now is just to expand the selection, so that if we selected any clothes, like all these ones, it won't be affected. So I'll just go to select, modify, expand. I'll expand it by, let's say, 5 pixels. So that should cover everything. As you can see, yeah, it has gotten everything. Then I'll also feather it, select, feather. I'll feather it by like 3 pixels. Yep, because I don't want the edge to be very, very what's the word for hard. I don't want to have a hard edge. So at this point, what we are going to do is to separate the subject from the background. In order to do that, we just cut out the subject, Command J to extract the subject. We now have our subject on a background alone. I can turn off this one and you see we have only the subject. Very neat. That's where your selection comes in. Very neat, beautiful subject. So click on command and click on the thumbnail of this, our subject alone. And then I'm going to invert that so that I can extract the background. So I click on the image and choose invert, select inverse, and then to select the inverse of that, which is the background. So if we turn off everything, we now have the background alone, very clean and beautiful. So I'm going to rename everything to make it easy. I'll call this all. Then I'll call this subject background, and I'll call this subjects. If you are going to work with a lot of layers, it's always advisable to name them so you can always remember which is which. So at this point, I'm going to turn off my subjects and blur the background. That's the next step. You blur the background because you want to make everything become very smooth and beautiful, and everything. We want all this dirt to go, so we are going to blur it all out. So I'm going to use filter. Under filter, I'll choose blur and then Gaussian blur. So for the blur radius, you could use anything. You could use 50, you could use, but the higher the blur, the more everything like becomes smoother and beautiful. So that we can see it in real time how it will look, I'll just click on this subject, like I'll turn on the subject layer, then come back to the background layer, go to filter, blur, and then Gaussian blur. That way we can see what it will look like with the subject on. Boom, 100 looks perfect. Let me check something like 1970, 100 and something. The higher you go, the more blurred and smooth. So you just choose the radius. You might want something small like a 6, a 13 or so. But for this image, I'll go as high as, okay, let's use 90. Let's use 90. And as you can see, we've gotten rid of all the distractions, all the dirt and everything. Even the edge of this platform that it was on is gone, which is what we really want. But another thing that is also gone is the shadows. All the shadows and reflections are gone. If you don't want it, it's fine, you can stop here. But for someone like me that likes my images looking very realistic, this just makes it look like the person is floating basically. So I'm going to show you how to extract the shadows shortly. But before we get to extracting the shadows, if you are working with an image that has a colored background, let's say this background was colored, and you're working on 8-bit channel, you might notice some banding here. So to remove banding, you have to add in noise. Normally, when you take an image, no matter how low the ISO, there's always noise in the image. So when you blur, you get rid of all the noise. So if I go back to the original image, you notice that there is some noise in the background. Although this was shot at, I think, ISO 100. So when you blur it, you get rid of that noise and that won't look so good. So we have to introduce noise again to get back that realistic look to the background. So I'll go to filter, noise, and add noise. Now, adding noise, you have to be very strategic. It's not just using big numbers, or else it will look like really fake. So I'll zoom in And as you can see, this doesn't look real at all. This doesn't look nice. This looks very, really bad, as if the background is dirty or something. So we are going to change it to we're going to click on monochromatic so that it doesn't introduce any color to the background. So that will make all the noise black and white. Then let's check between Gaussian and uniform, which one looks better. I think uniform looks better. Then I'll reduce the radius to about 2. It's barely visible. That's perfect. That's how I want it to be. So let me choose Gaussian and see what Gaussian looks like. Okay, I'll leave it in Gaussian, but you can always use either uniform or Gaussian. I'll zoom out, and as you can see, it's perfect. If you add banding, the banding should be gone by now. If the banding is not gone, just add more noise and the banding will be gone. That's how to get rid of the banding if you introduce any banding. So the next thing we are going to do now, okay, before we bring back let's bring in the shadow before we do the other thing I have in mind. So to bring the shadow, we'll go back to the all layer where everything is, the background and the subject are together. We'll use any selection tool. I'll use lasso tool here and just make selection of the background of the shadow where the shadow was, like this. I want only the shadow, but you can select anything that is close to the shadow. We'll get rid of that. So just select where the shadow is, like that, and then you extract it, like you duplicate it by using Command J. So now we have cut out that portion from the rest of the image. As you can see, it's only that portion and it's on top of everything. So after you cut it out, make sure you take it to the top because we want it to be on top of everything. So the next thing to do is to change the blending mode to multiply and then desaturate the layer. So to desaturate the layer, just click on Shift Command U and it will be black and white. We don't want any color in the shadow. We want a black and white shadow. At this point, all we have to do is just to get rid of the brighter part and leave the dark part. To do that, we bring up our levels adjustment tool. So I'll just click on Command L to bring up the levels adjustment tool and then move this white icon inward. Just move it like that, this white control line inward until all the edges, all the bright portions are gone and only the shadows are remaining, just like that. So I like it at that point. You can move in this one just to make it lighter or darker. You can bring in this one, but I prefer it that way. So as you can see, we have our shadow back, but it's not perfect. So we'll create the layer mask using the brush tool and a black foreground color. We'll brush out the part that we don't want. So we don't want that. Okay, don't use 100%, use like 10 to 20% so that the effect will build up and be gradual. So I'll just, clean it off. If you notice, let me zoom in. It's creating this, it's darkening the legs of our stool and our subject. As you can see, it's darkening it, and we don't want it on that. We only want it on the background. So what we are going to do is we'll go back to that selection that we saved earlier on. I'll just click on it. That was the subject, right? Yeah, and then I'll erase it from that portion. So I'll just use my black foreground color and paint inside the selection, and it will be gone. This is why it's always important to save your selections, especially if it's something like this. So now we have it on only the background and not on any part of the subject. I can always add or remove some parts. Then I've noticed that you should always reduce the opacity because it will make it too dark most times. So I'm now leaving my opacity at about 60%, and boom, look at it. We moved from here to here, like the exact same shadow that we had before. Is that not impressive? So we initially lost the shadow at this point, but we brought it back. So I'll call this shadow, and yeah, we have that. We have the shadow back. So this is all good. And another thing I wanted to show you guys is if you are working with a black or white background, like if it's either a black, gray or white background, one thing that could help you to really get the true color is to change your workspace color. So just outside your image, right click and choose custom, then choose set custom color, and I'll choose white, take it to white up there, yeah. And you actually see the true color of the background. You know, against that dark background, it looked white, but now you can actually see it well. So you can see that this corner of the image is darker, and there is some rays in the background. So if I bring in my hue and saturation adjustment layer and increase the saturation to 100, you see there is a lot of red in the background. So I want to erase the reds from the background. To do that, I'll just come to the layer that's in between my subjects. Like I'll just come to the background and include a hue and saturation layer in between my subject and my background, because I want it to affect only the background. So I'll completely desaturate it. This is optional. If you want to do this, you can do this, but like I'm just showing you in case it's something you need. It works very well on gray, white and black background. If you use any background that has color naturally, then this won't be advisable because it will get rid of the color. So at this point, you have a very pure, you're sure of the purity of the background. You can even increase the lightness if you want to make it whiter, just like that. So you see, we've gotten, if you wanted the image to be pure white, like the background to be pure white, you can still do it here. Like if you take it high enough, it will be pure white, but that's not what we want now. We just want it to look brighter and whiter, and we've gotten that effect, I suppose. So at this point, what we'll do is we'll merge everything we've done so far into a flat layer. So create a new layer using this button. Just click on this button and then use the shortcut key Shift Command Option E. That will be Control Shift Alt E on Windows, and then everything will be meshed into one layer, as you can see here. So I'll return it back to the default background color, and we have everything now in one flat layer. So I will select everything we've done so far. Let me show you. This is where we started. We cleaned it up, then we blurred the background. Okay, we blurred the background, we brought back the shadow, we made it whiter and desaturated it, and then we meshed everything, and boom, we are there. This is the best way to clean a seamless paper background to me. I use it on other background and it works 100% of the time. Very easy, very straightforward. I know this video was pretty long and might be confusing to some people, but rewatch it again and just follow through and you see it works like magic. It works great. It's really amazing. I hope you learned a few things, guys. I really appreciate you guys watching my video and all that, and a lot of people always appreciate the fact that I make these videos, and I'll keep making it for you guys. Now that I'm back, be expecting more videos. So if you have any confusion based on this video, just let me know down there in the comment section. I hope you enjoyed it. If you enjoyed the video, if you learned a thing or two, click on the subscribe button, and with that said, I think we are done. See you guys in the next video.